Hi everyone. I grew up with that guy over there on the TV, David Baddiel. I thought he was a great comedian. The other guy's George Galloway. By the way, George Galloway, is it just me or is he a really handsome fella? He really is a striking chap, isn't he? Anyway, David Baddiel did this sketch show back in, I think, late 80s, early 90s. It was it Rob Newman, the other guy? Newman and Baddiel was this sketch show. Became really popular, went around the country. They toured. I think they were one of the first actually double acts to do the touring. That's before Little Britain. And they were almost the pioneers of it, I think. I can't remember anybody doing it before them. But these two gents, these two characters they played, these two old gents, it was so silly, but it was so funny. The one guy would sit there and say, see that piece of phlegm that beastly man with BO has just spat out on the floor over there? Yes, it's your swimming pool, that is. Or it's you know when a dog has got the runs and it comes out and it's very stinky and smelly and watery? Yes, that's your soup, that is. It was really childish. Anybody who remembers it is laughing along right now, I assure you, and probably doing their own impressions of it. But, so full disclaimer, I used to think he was great. Then he went on to write Football's Coming Home with Frank Skinner and the Lightning Seeds, so I forgive him for that. But I don't forgive him for the last 3 years, because all he seems to have done in the last 3 years, in between writing his stand-up shows, is attack Jeremy Corbyn or anybody who was critical of Israel as being an anti-Semite. He once said to me, he once said to one guy that on Twitter that anybody who thinks that there's a global elite that are ruling the world and have their fingers in politics all over the world, pulling the strings, anybody who believes that is anti-Semitic, because it's a dog whistle for anti-Semitism because they're saying Jews run the world. No, they're not! He knows what he's doing there. He knows there's no defence for the right-wing Likud party's anti-Semitic treatment of Palestinians, by the way. That really is anti-Semitic. He knows there's no defence, so his defence is to say, hey, you're anti-Semitic towards us, rather than our action, rather than calling out our bad actions. That's who he is, but it's taken a change of tact with this tweet that I saw earlier today. It's weird that the left are still pro-Russia, he says, where the people in power are now just exemplars of what happens when capitalism grows totally out of control. Is it just a gut/residual memory thing? And he links to a Guardian article, which I will not read, because it's the Guardian and it's GCHQ's mouthpiece. If I want to know what the GCHQ think, I'll go ask Alan Duncan. First of all, the left are not pro-Russia, okay? The left are not pro-Russia. They're not. The left are pro-facts. So you're gaslighting to start off, and then you say, where the people in power are now just exemplars of what happens when capitalism grows totally out of control. Yeah. You're really hypocritical for ending that sentence, Baddiel, with, is it a memory thing? Because your memory must be totally fucked up if you have glossed over the 1990s and the reason that capitalism grew totally out of control, which was not Vladimir Putin, which was not the Kremlin, which was not communism or anything to do with the Red Russia scare. No, it was all America, and America installing a puppeteer to run the country so they could go in and rape the country with disaster capitalism. That's what has happened. It's America's fault that Russia was in the state that Russia's in. And by the way, some of those people, some of those oligarchs, or in fact I say some, most of those oligarchs who made all their money in the 80s when capitalism was growing totally out of control, in the 90s, when capitalism was growing totally out of control because of America, they're now in London and probably his next door neighbours buying up property all over the place and just letting it sit there while homeless people are on the streets. And then he says, is it a memory thing? Totally glossed over a whole decade and the reason capitalism grew totally out of control. He could have said that in a series of tweets. Now, much better, he can't say it, too long to say that, much better to say the opposite, even though it's fucking false and gaslighting. And then he honestly had the gall there to say, is your memory wrong? Is your memory fucked up? No, yours is, Baddiel, because you either don't know the truth, or your memory's shot, or you're being paid. He gets called out by the... God, I can't stand Owen Jones. He's everything wrong with the Liberal left. I'm sorry. I've kept my mouth shut about that guy for so long. He didn't take that tweet, for instance, that David Baddiel just did, which has got 3 things wrong in one sentence that I just pointed out, and pointed out everything that was wrong in it, gave the historical context behind it, explained to people, no, this is why it's wrong. No, Owen Jones' answer was, hey, I've written stuff that's anti-Russian. Baddiel, okay, not you. It just typifies everything that's wrong. It's all about him, isn't it, with Owen Jones? It's all about him. He always finds something to you know, create division somewhere. He always finds the division. He's not about bringing people together. He's about tearing them apart. That's why I can't stand Owen Jones. Okay, not you, says Baddiel, and then straight away, Seamus Milne, Jeremy Corbyn, George Galloway, still sympathetic to Russia. Total smear. They're not sympathetic to Russia, Baddiel. They like to look and base their futures and their decisions on facts, rather than bullshit from the same people that have lied us into every fucking war for the last century. Or was your memory fucked up again? Or was your memory fucked up that much? Or is your memory that fucked up? You can't remember that? The left, including very significant figures, obviously not all. It says they're 280 characters. You know, I couldn't say everybody but Owen Jones is what he's saying. Then he goes on to say this. That video of Jeremy Corbyn, for example, talking in Ireland about NATO being a Frankenstein's monster serviced by the EU. Perhaps NATO is Frankenstein. Well, perhaps NATO is a Frankenstein's monster serviced by the EU. It is. But it more or less aligns with what Putin thinks. Or have I got that wrong? Yes, you've got that fucking wrong, and you know you've got that wrong, you prick. NATO aligns itself with America's foreign policy. That's what NATO aligns it with. Every single time, especially where there's oil. So yeah, you've got that wrong. But no, Owen Jones, to be fair to him here, he comes out and says, OSC, he says the same thing. Criticising an international institution means you're pro-Russia. But of course, that is exactly what Baddiel means, because he ended it with this tweet. Well, that, and thinking the Skripal poisoning might not be the work of the Kremlin. And yes, he wanted to just, the facts, he's talking about Corbyn there. Owen ruling out a boycott of Russia today when which John McDonnell backed, rather. Anybody who thinks the Skripal poisoning might not be the work of Kremlin is pro-Russia, he's saying there. Anybody basically looking at facts is pro-Russia. Anybody looking into the connection between Christopher Steele and Sergei Skripal is pro-Russia. Anybody looking at the relationship between Pablo Miller and Christopher Steele is pro-Russia. Anybody looking at the D notices that were on the media at that time is pro-Russia. Anybody looking at the connection between Pablo Miller and the Integrity Initiative is pro-Russia. Anybody looking at the connection between the Integrity Initiative and all the media personalities, and you know, including The Guardian, is pro-Russia. Anybody looking at, I don't know, Christopher Steele's involvement in the Trump dossier is pro-Russia. Anybody who looks at any of these facts before making a decision is pro-Russia. How can somebody I respected and loved so much turn into such an utter fucking arsehole? Oh, and yes, he just wanted the facts. He goes, yes, he wanted the facts. So he wanted the facts. That's not just a good excuse, it's the right course of action. And you calling it out in air quotes like that, it just makes you look like an absolute prick, which is what you are. And why the fuck should the Labour Party or anybody on the left boycott Russia today when they're the ones who have been talking about all the stuff with regards to the Skripal poisoning that I just mentioned, that people like David Baddiel haven't got a fucking clue is going on because our media sucks? Why should we ban the one or boycott the one news organisation that is talking about it? Or are you doing all this, Baddiel, because you're looking, I don't know, for another contract with the fucking BBC? Because that's what it looks like to people like me who look at you, just bullshit and propagandise people with stuff like this. Or, to put it another way, a more apt way, this. You see that tweet there that you wrote, Baddiel? Yes? That's bullshit propaganda McCarthyism, that is. And you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. For more truly honest, independent media like the video you just saw, please subscribe and click the bell below as well so you get a notification of when I drop further videos. If you also like and share and comment on the video as well, that really helps with the algorithm and boosts exposure. And if you can support me, please do so. You can do with any of the avenues on the screen at the moment and below this video. You can support me for as little as $1 a month on Patreon, and every dollar helps. We need your support at the moment. We do not have an operating fourth estate. I'm sure you're aware, a functioning media holding power accountable is vital for democracy. At the moment, we haven't got it, so people like me are having to fill their shoes and do the job for them with your support. Thanks very much for your support. Till next time, peace and take care.